This is Hillbillies in the Bush, and I want to show you today a little something that I've learned. There's all kinds of ways of finding dry tinder in the woods. What I would consider surefire. My idea of what I consider surefire is something that I keep on my little neck knife, and you guys have all seen it. But I'll just show it to you again. This is a ferrocerium rod. The ferrocerium rod goes right down inside that ranger band there. And that's my neck knife. Okay, on this side's a piece of fatwood. Now, when in wet conditions like we have now, sometimes you can use this fatwood to get surefire. But the other equation to surefire is what's up underneath here. What's up underneath here is one of them round cotton pads. When you unfold it, I've already cut some off of it and stuff. It's one of them round cotton pads soaked with wax. That's all there is. There's no accelerant on that. I see a lot of guys having a little bit of problem with these, and I can probably help you out there by showing you what they're doing wrong, or trying to. A lot of guys will hit this with a ferrocerium rod like it is right there. It might work, maybe. I've never had any success at it. But what you can do, let me pull this stuff out of the way, is you can, well, I don't need that much of it, so we'll just cut off a little piece. Cut this off a little piece, lay that down, we'll lay that aside. What you need to do is pick it. And by picking it, what I mean is, you want to sit there and pick the fibers. And what this does is breaks up that cotton. Well, in a sense, I guess you're making a cotton ball, or trying to make a little bit of a cotton ball out of it. Oops, there we go. If you pick this fiber, and you get it all nice and fuzzy like that, and all it takes is just the point of your knife, dig down in there, and you can soak these pads completely soaked with wax. And it'll still do this right here. These things are waterproof, by the way, too. You can get them wet as long as you don't pick them like this. You can get them wet. Pick them up, dry them off, break it open like this, pick it, and when you get all these little fluffy things up, that is pretty much surefire when you hit that with a ferrocerium rod. Now, that's surefire for a little bit. Here's another thing that I can show you. Here in southeastern Ohio, we have what's called locust trees. Locust trees grow all kinds of places, but the bark on some of these locust trees, let me zoom out a little. The bark on these locust trees will peel off generally. Even if it's a live locust, and like I say, it's been raining. This was peeled off of a live locust. It was just kind of shelled. But what happens is this bark grows in layers. And let me show you what I mean here. Let me cut down through it. Okay. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them or not, but they're rings. Right in through here you can see, where am I at? There we go. You can see like, almost like growth rings. What you can do is, you can put your knife down inside there, and you can chip some of this stuff off. Get you an area chipped out. Okay, let me break that off and show you on this piece. You can chip this stuff off, get it started, go down through there, and it'll peel off in layers. Okay, now what you have is this. Okay, what you can do now is you can take and shave this stuff, and as you can see, it makes paper. As you can see that right there, that is paper thin. Okay, perfectly dry. This is inside, and it's been, I don't care if it was pouring down rain for 6 years, this will be perfectly dry inside because it's inside the bark. And then you just sit there and shave this off in pieces. And what you do with this, if you want to try and get as long a piece as you can, and it'll come off in layers. Sometimes you can start here at the end and get it started and just peel it off like that. But what you want to do is you want to get a bunch of this peeled off, and then what you have to do is process it. And the way you process it is pretty much like anything else. You want to just smush it up real good. Let me get back here now. You get this off like this, and basically you just rub it in your hands. Now, it would pay you to put something down, like another piece of bark or something, to collect all this little dust, because there's little tiny dust that comes off of this. But what you're looking to do is break this down into like jute twine stuff, and it will, if you keep rolling it around in your hands. It breaks them fibers down to where it actually looks like jute twine almost. And there's what you'll have. And as you can see, it's real stringy and real light. Now sometimes you can get a ferrocerium rod to take off on this right here all by itself. That's not always the case. It's pretty damp out here today. I was playing around with it, and it's not this stuff. This stuff's powder dry. But the conditions are really tough today. It's a lot of humidity. Everything's damp. We're down in a hollow. I could say all kinds of excuses, I guess, but this right here will work. And all you have to do is, sometimes you can hit a ferrocerium rod on this and make it go. But if you have one of these all teased up, you hit a ferrocerium rod on this, you'll have fire for a little bit. And even if you have a little tiny piece of this that may not burn for but a minute or so, you can add big hunks of this stuff if you process, you know, a pretty good sized ball of it, and it'll start burning, and it'll catch other wood on fire, or at least be drying it out. And it'll actually it'll create a coal base also, which is, you know, this stuff's kind of small, so it'll create a coal base, so when you put stuff on it and blow it, it's gonna make it burst to life. But let's see what we got here on this. You want to make sure this, like I say, this is all teased up, and it's got little fluffs of cotton everywhere. And once that's teased up, hit it with a ferrocerium rod. Let me zoom down in on that. There we go. Hit it with a ferrocerium rod, and you got fire. And when it touches this stuff, you have real fire. And it will go up. Like that. And now, if you had your big ball of this, not only do you have the wax helping you out, but you also got this real fine stuff like this that's creating a coal base to get the other stuff going. And you can get really damp wood going with just a little tiny piece of cotton soaked with wax clear through, and just pick it apart. And it's waterproof and it works. So that's something to think about. That's what I consider surefire. Now, yep, I didn't need this ferrocerium rod. I could have struck a lighter onto that cotton pad and made it work. Lighters can run out, they can break on you and whatever. This ferrocerium rod, there's nothing mechanical to break. And I've used this thing a bunch, as you can tell. And I ain't really wore much out. There's a little bit of a divot in it, but that's about it. The boys use this to play around with. Guys, surefire in a damp or any situation is a must. You've got to have it. And like I say, just use your, if you have Locust where you're at, don't forget that you can peel this stuff apart like paper. And it'll take it'll take fire. And there you have it. Now I could use my, I could have peeled that down. This piece is a little bit thick, but you can see it'll take off. I could use my Fatwood because I have a chunk of it here. By the way, I wanted to, while I'm at it, to process this stuff down, I did a video on Fatwood. To process this stuff down, you just take all the stuff that that is light colored and you knock it off. What you have left is this dark colored stuff. And here's what it's going to look like. Let me get it in the camera here. A buddy of mine told me, give me a good analogy, and I agree with it. It should look about like wax when you're shaving it. So, and it'll feel almost like shaving a wax candle. And this stuff shaves up, and it is full of pine resin. Oops. It's full of pine resin. And you just keep shaving it out, and it almost feels like wax too. But this stuff goes up really well. Let me see if I can't get a shaving off of here. And A little bit of a stick. You don't want to split like sticks because it's like wax. It wants to break like wax. But just to give you an idea, there's a curl. And it's not real thin. We still have a little bit of fire here. Once that stuff takes off, it takes off like crazy. But there it is. And that's Fatwood. Plus it smells good, I think. But this is Surefire. This is Surefire along with this ferrocerium rod. But as you can see, that Fatwood's still on fire. But the Fatwood, that's some good stuff. This cotton pad, and this is real cheap, guys. You get these cotton pads, and I think they're 100 rolls. There'll be a round little cotton pad. They're like a makeup pad, and all you need is an old candle, and melt that sucker down. Throw this down in there, pull it right back out. Just dip it in, wait a second, pull it right back out, and it'll soak clear through all this. It'll make it waterproof. Now it'll look a little bit shinier than this. This here is kind of wrinkled because I folded it up and tucked it into my sheath. But there's just some Surefire. And I'll take this right here over gopher matches any day. But until next time, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later.